Gen Z is drinking less alcohol, and that's terrible. Primarily for the economy. For health, it is only a benefit, but companies and the state are losing a significant chunk of income. The problem is that getting drunk is no longer trendy, and there is a logical reason for this. Before, there were limited ways to get a dopamine hit. Now there is an overabundance of them. We live in an amazing time where global alcohol consumption has not only stopped growing, but has started to decline. In the United States, for example, every third citizen aged 20 to 30 did not consume a single alcoholic beverage last year. Even European youth no longer have the warm feelings toward wine their parents did. Moreover, wealthy and famous people who are role models for millions have started publicly promoting sobriety and criticizing alcohol. Elon Musk, for instance, called it an outdated drug, which is probably true. This accelerating trend toward a healthy lifestyle, short for HLS, is great, just not for traditional businesses or the state and the government. In restaurants, cafes, and especially bars, alcohol is the most profitable item. It doesn't spoil, doesn't require preparation, and its price 5 times higher than in a store. It doesn't bother anyone. The government sets a minimum price, it strictly monitors it. If someone sells cheaper, they instantly lose their license. No court, no appeal. This is supposedly to fight counterfeit alcohol, and yes, partly that is true. In Russia, for example, about 2 legal factories are shut down every month. But how many continue to crank out fake booze is anyone's guess. So the minimum retail price, MRP, isn't just for identifying illegal producers. It is also a simple and effective way to sharply increase tax revenue whenever needed, which is probably always. Over 15 years, the MRP for vodka in Russia has increased 3.5 times. And people should remember that the cost of the alcohol itself in a bottle of vodka is just 15 cents. Add in labor, water, flavorings, glass, labels, and packaging, and the total production cost is about 20% of the shelf price. Excise taxes and other levies make up over 50%. Store markup as another 15 to 20%. And the producer ends up with only 10 to 15% of revenue. If suddenly everyone stopped drinking, the state will lose roughly $6.5 billion US. And you know, young people are kind of letting the country down by fully embracing this unconventional healthy lifestyle and giving up booze entirely. Manufacturers have noticed the shift towards sobriety and are trying their best to adapt. For example, they're offering non-alcoholic alcohol. It tastes the same but without the hangover and without the alcoholic effect itself. And now someone is probably typing a joke in the comments about non-alcoholic beer and rubber dolls. But what about someone being dragged to a bar who has an important meeting at 8 a.m. the next day, or a designated driver hauling drunk friends around? Better to have some kind of alternative. Sure, these drinks won't bring in big taxes, but a sober society is arguably safer and more productive. Personally, I wouldn't mind if all my neighbors were hardcore healthy lifestyle followers. A disciplined, sober person has more energy and potential to create something valuable, which in the end benefits the state far more than if they just drank their life away and paid excise taxes. The question is whether to plan long-term or grab quick money now. The main problem with advertising today is that people have long been tuning out banners and skipping ad inserts automatically. Every second of our attention is fought over by social networks and messengers, and most conventional ad campaigns completely miss the mark. Meanwhile, big companies are afraid of anything unconventional or provocative, but unfortunately for them, that is the only thing that still works. One of the coolest trends I see right now is honesty and authenticity with the customer. Imagine a restaurant posting videos and photos of its moldy food. Who would agree to that? Even if there is a point to it, how do you sell such an idea to management? Burger King managed to do it, and it became one of their most successful campaigns. It was the opposite of everything expected from fast food marketing, which usually shows juicy, appealing images that rarely match what you actually get. The moldy food campaign didn't try to sell, it sparked a conversation. People believe fast food is full of preservatives and can last forever. They showed otherwise. This was a huge risk for the company. If people misinterpreted the message, the brand could have been destroyed. But the strategy worked. There is an Irish budget airline that takes customer communication even further. They constantly make jokes about themselves and the whole low-cost model. Don't expect a service or comfort from us, expect a $20 ticket, they say. Their marketing director openly says the brand doesn't need to be loved to win customers. When a customer complained about being almost strip-searched during screening, the company's reply was genius. Well, you were in great shape. This kind of communication isn't just provocative, it sets realistic expectations. People like bluntness. The airline carried over 200 million passengers last year. The younger generation especially appreciates this kind of approach. They're very allergic to traditional marketing tricks, and I agree. When you openly say, we're a budget airline, it is cheap, but might be cramped and uncomfortable, that kind of honesty works much better than trying to sugarcoat the experience. Honesty works best when combined with provocation. A legendary Swedish plant-based milk brand burst onto the scene with a slogan that's now banned. It is like milk, but made for humans, implying that the regular milk is only for the cows. Dairy producers hated it. In 2014, they got it banned in court. The Swedes responded by publicizing the lawsuit and launched an even more provocative campaign with the slogan, "Are you stupid? The Dire Lobby thinks you are." The public sided with a small but proud company, and the rebel image earned them $41 million in 2015. And they went global, backed by investors like Starbucks former CEO Natalie Portman and Oprah. Their quarterly revenue now exceeds $200 million, and they still market themselves with an anti-marketing vibe. Take their boss ad, "Don't worry if you don't like this oatmeal ad, it'll pass by soon." They do not list benefits, do not show celebrities, and avoid being pushy. Instead, they mock traditional marketers and even call their products boring. But that uniqueness really works. It makes them stand out. Now let us talk about the 5-star rating system. In my opinion, it is garbage. When I get out of the taxi and the app asks me to rate the driver, I automatically give them 5 stars just to dismiss the pop-up. One time, I had a ride with a hearing-impaired driver, and he sighed and grunted loudly the whole ride, and I don't think he heard himself. His average rating was 4.7, and I could not rate him lower than 5. I didn't like the ride, but I lied. I gave him a high rating out of sympathy. And drivers rate passengers too. If a passenger was obnoxious but tipped well, the driver is bribed into giving a high rating. So ratings can't be trusted. Yet, when we're in a new city, we rely on them completely. Everything is rated now. Stores, products, books, movies, barbershops, even monuments. It sounds great, right? But here's the issue. Who actually is doing the rating? Ordinary people desperate to express opinions. On the bench in the street, they're just rant. Online, it feels like real power. Suddenly, everyone's opinion carries weight, even if it is uninformed. Once experts rated restaurants and movies, now a fan of dumb comedy can rate like a film critic, and companies just purely love it. They don't have to pay professionals anymore, just give the masses a voice. Right away! This opened Pandora's box. Cue cancel culture. People look for reasons to destroy someone's reputational career. It is gatekeeper syndrome on steroids. Take Eat, Pray, Love, which was a bestseller for years. And when the author announced her next book, The Snow Forest, she got so much hate that she withdrew it. Why? Because it's set in Russia. And today, that alone is problematic. Even though the story takes place mid-20th century in Siberia, most critics hadn't even read it. That is the rating system at work. Mass opinion, bots, fake comments. There was a pickup point near my house with a 1-star rating. Sounds terrible, right? What are they even doing there? Are they killing their customers? No, that was not the problem. The problem was that locals ordered 20 pairs of shoes or whatever, tried to return everything, and the poor employees had to repack it all while the next angry customer queued up. Staff were overworked and kept quitting. Eventually, the place shut down, and now we all have to walk a couple of miles to the nearest pickup point. Another issue is we never think about who's leaving reviews. Their age, gender, wealth, lifestyle. A kid's playroom might be a huge plus for one person and a loud nightmare for another. Some rate places poorly for being too expensive, others find it perfectly priced, so ratings cannot reflect that complexity. Yet, we all want the best. A 3.9 rating is a red flag, obviously, even for me. No one goes to a dentist with a 3.9 rating, even if the complaints are like, I'm scared of dentists, or the feeling was fine, just too long. That's like complaining your life-saving medicine tasted bitter. And what share of reviewers actually understand the inner workings of the business they're judging? Soon people will rate each other, just like in the Black Mirror. Ever dislike the video just for stating facts you don't like? I personally did. My feelings, don't care about your facts obviously. After a support call, they ask you to rate Mariah or rate Jimbo from the pickup point. Do you see the trick? They shift blame from the company to the individual. Your beef is not with Amazon, it is with the driver. Not Spar, but the person at the counter. The overworked staff gets penalized for poor ratings, and one disgruntled customer can get them fired. Can I rate the billionaire who runs the company behind all of this? Will he have to deal with my one-star review and explain it to the shareholders? I highly doubt it. We didn't even notice we're living in Black Mirror. Everything has a public rating, and the worst part is, we waste so much time searching for perfection. We no longer trust experts or ask friends. We just look at random crowdsourced scores, and we often suppress our real preferences to please them all. But life is not perfect, and often our mistakes and bad experiences are more valuable than a sterile, boring, but a 5-star option. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.